Stoobles, you're back.
Yes, baby, I'm back.
Several episodes later, for some reason, somehow, you're still involved in this podcast.
Someone keeps asking me to come back, I don't know why. But,
Someone keeps begging to come back on.
I blame the producers.
Man, we have been up to a lot since you were last on. I think you were on episode 9. This will be episode 14. And things are going pretty good. We're getting like 100 plus listeners on average a podcast. And everyone wants to see a little bit more of Jeff Capes.
Getting trolled by Simon Lomas.
Exactly. Yeah, Simon Lomas. We have a regular viewer just popped up out of nowhere called Simon Lomas, and he loves to comment about your unsavory appearance on these podcasts. He
does, yes.
Yeah. So
Cheeky
far,
little swine.
He's funny. We checked his channel out, and he's actually really, really funny.
Yeah, he is very funny.
He seems like a smart guy, and he's got it right. You do look like Andy Fordham's let himself go, and you do look like Jeff Capes has, been locked in a fridge.
But I stooped to his level, didn't I? I commented on one of his videos.
You did. Anyway, man, what have we been up to?
What have we been up to? Dying of COVID.
You got a bit of a cough, haven't you?
I got a little bit of a cough, yeah. I don't think it's COVID.
You know that's a symptom, right?
Because what, denial?
Your denial is also a symptom.
Because I'm a doctor, and
yeah. So we on film set. We went to a movie production called The Cowboy, as we mentioned in our previous podcast together, and we were extras in a short film.
Yes, what an absolute ball of a day that was, mate.
Oh man, it was so good. Dude, it was like the best day of 2020, and I had my first child this year. So that's how that's how good the day was.
Does your wife watch the podcast?
She does.
Oh, so you might be up for divorce soon then.
No, she's remarkably sound. Man, she helps me with my stand-up comedy and stuff, and that I've been working on, and the humor is brutal, as you've seen it. So I think she's used to it by now. She's used to my humor, which is good.
Good. Well, she'd have to be better with you, I guess, wouldn't
she? Yeah. She doesn't have much of a choice, really. She needs to adapt. Survival. I guess she's surviving. So we drove up to somewhere in the middle of nowhere, it felt like, in Somerset.
No, it's not. It's not Somerset. No, it's Wiltshire.
It's Wiltshire, right, mate? Wiltshire. Smartphone, wireframes.
Your county, mate. You're Stonehenge.
Exactly. And we didn't really know what to expect. We've never met anybody there before, did we?
We were optimistic on the way, weren't we? We were not. I'd not met the guy before. I knew him through someone else that I know.
Yeah.
Who'd kind of said he was an alright dude.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were walking into, really, did we?
No, I mean, it's a film called The Cowboy, and we had to dress up as bikers. It could have easily been a creepy gay sex dungeon. It could have been, and almost was. We walked in.
It kind of looked like one when we walked in.
We walked in, and I mean, this nightclub, it was kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't like posh. It wasn't posh, okay? It was the perfect club, actually, to be filming a biker bar scene, really. And we walk in, and there's this guy, and he's ripped to fuck. His biceps were bigger than Stu's ego, and and he just looks at us. We walk in, and he's like, "You're right, lads, grab a bin liner and cover these mirrors." I was like, I fucking beg your pardon. Yeah, and
then he's like, yeah, we need all these mirrors covered, but they need to not look like they're mirrors covered with bin bags, which is quite difficult to do when you're covering a mirror with a bin bag.
Yes, it's true, but we did it. We got the creases out, and we had to do the old COVID thing. We got our temperatures taken by, what was it, like a temperature gun or something? So that was interesting, and then that was that. That was the beginning.
An exciting start of the day.
Well, it was also an exciting start to our acting career. Just doing a bit of DIY, mate. A little bit of crafts.
Are we going to go into the where you're supposed to be my wingman and you just ditch me?
No, we don't have to do that. Basically, we were, we were covering some good ass mirrors. We were doing good,
We
and
were
then there
doing
was,
it well.
and then there's this one mirror that I just didn't fancy it. It was horrible. We just left it for someone else, and someone done it. So
It
anyway,
started looking all wrong.
so once the venue was prepped, and the biker bar scene had no mirrors because you know how you can't have mirrors in movies. Hell no, that's demons and ghosts come through mirrors. We know they're portals to other realms. So they were covered up, and then we had to go into makeup, which was a very interesting experience.
Very. I've never had makeup put on me before.
No, you're a goddamn fucking liar. Definitely, you definitely have. There are no. I was in your house today. There are no women who live in that house, but yet there is a bunch of female underwear drying on your clothesline, mate. So
No,
definitely,
no, there is not.
yeah, there bloody is. Definitely, you've had makeup on before. But anyway, so they've roughed us up because they needed to make us look like bikers, and stupid me shaved literally just before going, so they had to rough us up a little bit more. Didn't really have to do an awful lot for you. They kind of looked you up and went, "Yeah, he'll do."
Yeah, you're rough as fuck already.
He'll do.
Was what the makeup lady said. There was a dude running around with a camera whilst we were getting the makeup done, documenting behind the scenes of the movie set.
Good old Billy.
He did quite a cool video actually.
No, he did. A guy called Billy Porter. He's just got into like hobby vlog making, I guess. He actually wants to do a behind the scenes of this podcast, but I'm not really. That will be very underwhelming, especially at the moment. He's gonna just come around and be like, "Yeah, so Billy, you're gonna watch me put my camera on a tripod."
Yeah, there's not a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Although it's true. Although newsflash, we are going to be doing some podcasts in person very soon. You, me, Craig, in our little studio. So I don't know, maybe we can get Billy down and he could do a little behind the scenes there. There's banter to be had for sure.
Well, if there's Billy there, we've still got space for two more. We can have six, remember?
Oh yeah, that's very true. You can have the rule of six. And so we met an amazing actress called Laura, and she was playing a bar lady in the film. And we had a couple of scenes with her, and she was really, because I guess we were a little bit nervous going into it, right? And she played a main part, and she done such a good job of she was super high vibe, super happy, clearly really fucking good at acting. She was clearly a very good actress. She had lots of really good advice, and I don't know, man, she made it easy for us to get through our first scene, I thought.
I think she could tell that we were nervous, and we spoke a lot before, like while we were prepping the scene, getting ready and all that. And obviously she was aware that this was our first time doing anything, and she made it really super chilled. It was really, really good.
And our first scene,
lots of banter.
Yeah, it was of course, mate. I mean, look, they're long days. I mean, they're for 14 hours in total. You have to have a good time. If you're signing yourself up for a difficult time, if you're going to turn up and not try and make this exciting and fun in between scenes, because a lot of waiting around, especially as an extra, you gotta make it entertaining some way, even if you piss off the director in the process. We'll get on. We'll get onto that. So anyway, our first scene, me and Stu's big
debut.
Yeah, it's Stu's big debut, and mine too for a screenplay. And so to set the scene, a cowboy is just about to walk into the biker bar. And of course, you got me, you got Stu Balls over here, and we're trying to enjoy a nice beverage at the bar. And this cowboy walks in, and our job when the cowboy walks in was just to look over him, like kind of like, mean to begin with, and then just be like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, what an idiot, basically. Looking like, what an idiot. And then my instruction was to look back at Stu, and then Stu looks at me, and then we kind of shrug like, what an asshole. And then we turn around and walk off in order to let the cowboy come to the bar and order a drink. So we're like, the time is here. The day is nigh. Everything we worked for, everything, Stu, that you rehearsed for when we were out for dinner, all that work you put in boiled down to this moment.
It was all leading up to this one moment.
Exactly. And it was lights, camera, and I was getting my face ready, and I was like, serious. Action. Cowboy walks in all slow. down, down, down. He looks across, literally locks eyes with me, and I'm like, I got my face on. I'm like, you know, and
Is it Blue Steel?
Yeah, exactly. And a bit Zoolander, yeah. And so I look at him, I'm like, what an idiot. And then I look back at Stu, ready for us to look at each other and like shrug our shoulders. And he's just there, just stood staring blindly into his drink. Not without a fucking clue what's going on. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, fucking, you motherfucker. Fucking first scene. So then I just turn off and we'll just walk off scene. Not in a huff, as part of the, set. And
he threw his toys out the lot.
Yeah, I went off to my trailer.
I can't work with this shit.
Yeah, it was very funny. But I actually think that scene made it in. I hope it did. I want to see you staring blindly into your drink, oblivious to what's going on. But we refilmed
I got the timing wrong.
We refilmed it. And also, might I add, right, the biggest thing with these movies, one of the hardest things to get right, is the sound. There's lots of different sounds going on, people breathing, hiccuping, coughing and shit. So when, the camera is rolling, you have to be quiet as hell. But for some reason, Stuart decided to bring the loudest trainers that have ever left the shelves on the high street.
It wasn't my trainers. It was the floor, not my trainers.
Anyway, you need to turn the volume down. So there were lots of very funny things, but we got through it. And that first scene was probably kind of the most intense, really, wasn't it?
Took a bit of time. Yeah. After that, we kind of sort of kind of settled into it a bit and chilled out, and we had a bit more fun. Yeah, after we got that initial first scene out of the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a good few hours after that where we were just doing nothing. We were just witnessing, and it was an awesome experience. When the real actors came in to do their proper acting. And it was really interesting to see how much work goes into it. I mean, to get those different angles, I always just used to think that they would just film a little bit of the talking and then they'd move the camera and stuff, but actually they act the whole scene through, would say the camera here, then the whole scene through again with the camera here to capture the other person, then the whole scene through from a different one. And then it's like if you think about the whole day, we're there for 14 hours for probably 5 minutes of footage, 5 to 10 minutes of footage of the movie. Like, that's insane.
I always thought it was done like they would set the scene up and they would position cameras in different areas that don't see each other, but just film it. So they film one take from different angles.
I know what you mean, yeah.
At the same time. But no, they go through the whole scene from one angle.
Well, maybe. I mean, this is a low budget production as well. So they had they had 2 cameras, but I think each one of them had its own individual purpose. So they had like one main camera, I think, to do the majority of the main filming. So, but certainly from our experience there, that's how it was done. So it was really good to see really the work that goes in. And actually the organization, the guy that's making the film is called Scott Clist. And, you have to be extremely organized and be able to, spin an awful lot of plates and keep track of lots of different things that are going on, because at the end of the day, it's your damn movie. If anything goes wrong, it's on you.
I mean, I gotta say, like the organization was brilliant, because the people, when we got there, we were told we'll probably be filming up till midnight. And I think it was literally bang on sort of like 5 to midnight. We finished the last take of the last bit and just to get for that day, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because we went back up again, didn't we? But before we went back up again, we had a few scenes, and someone got their speaking role they wanted, didn't they, Stu?
Unbelievable.
What happened?
You just come in and stole the limelight, mate. That's what happened.
Well, I was selected, wasn't I? Let's face it.
Well, you kind of pushed yourself out there in a position to be selected.
I tell you what,
Because you're just a comedy genius, you come up with a line that was funny that would add to the film, and the director was like, yeah, that's funny, yeah, use that. and instead of going, well, actually, my mate Stu wanted to do the speaking line, so I'll let him do the funny line. You just went, yeah, okay, I'll do it.
It's not my fault. You have nothing funny to say.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm just glad that I had 3 words I said, and one of them was a swear word. What's the chances of that? I never swear. You'd never see me using colourful language. Can you say that nowadays? Colourful language? Because that's probably against probably get you cancelled or some shit.
Yes, controversial. I'm sure we've said more controversial things on here up to now. But...
Oh, you definitely have. You can't you can't help yourself. I'm against censorship, as you know, but I'm not against censoring you because it's needed sometimes,
I've got loads to say later, mate. Don't worry.
So, Stu, why don't you...
your seatbelt.
What was the most challenging part of us having a laugh, and trying to keep things entertaining whilst filming?
We got to we did our first main scene, us walking away from the bar. So when we've walked away from the bar, we then go and join 2 other guys on a table. So we got these 2 other guys that we met up there called Tony and Ron. Yeah. It was Ron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think they were pretty nervous too. And then me and you just we were kind of like the 2 lads that brought the banter with us.
We were just just clowns, man.
Yeah, we were just messing about. And we sat at the table, and so they're filming like a scene that's happening kind of behind me, or so behind the table that we're on.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're filming that from lots of different angles. So there's some angles where we are being seen, some angles where we're not being seen, but they're spending so much time filming this bit behind us, but we've got to kind of be there the whole time and just pretend to be talking the whole time, so mouthing things to each other. And it's quite funny because the scene they were filming behind us was the scene that me and Jack had rehearsed together. That was the bit of script.
Well, because it was the part that you were going for.
It was the part that I was going to go for. So we'd already practiced it and rehearsed the lines. So whilst they're saying it, we're kind of sat mouthing the lines to each other. Yeah. Then pulling faces at each other when the guy who's doing it got the lines wrong because he was quite nervous. It was his first acting scene, so he messed the lines up a few times, and then we were kind of pulling faces at each other. So we're having just a laugh with these other 2 guys at this table. And the whole premise of looking like you're talking is so that the microphones don't pick anything up. But Jack wasn't quite aware of how sensitive these microphones were. And,
we were all doing it. Don't just put this on me. Don't just put this on. I'll get Scott, the director, to pull the bloody audio and bring it on a podcast, son.
All right, okay. So through most of it, Jack is talking and saying some pretty
well, just out there things. Basically, we had to look like we were having a good time in the background, but laughing and joking, which is a really good opportunity because normally when you're being filmed, getting the giggles are a thing. The human body tends to want to do what it's not supposed to be doing. So when you're supposed to be serious, for some reason, you get the giggles. It's a weird phenomenon. No one really understands what the fuck it is, but we didn't have to worry about that, did we? Because we were supposed to be laughing and having a good time.
We were getting the giggles.
So the best thing, hold out, because you're fucking fake news over there. You're blaming me. So basically, what happened was we're supposed to be miming, right? Just saying any odd bollocks. But we were kind of whispering, weren't we? And we were saying funny things.
You were whispering.
Yeah, I was whispering. Yes. Okay, fine. And so we were just saying funny stuff to each other, right? Just to make ourselves laugh, so we'd have a good time. And then what happened?
So we'd just finished doing one take, and then the director says, "Guys, when you're over there pretending to talk, you actually need to not say anything because these microphones are picking you up."
He picked up everything that me and the other guy, Tony, was saying to each other. And I don't know, who knows? Maybe he'll pull that for us. That could be entertaining, couldn't it? Could be.
I reckon if he if he took the time, he could find quite a few outtakes in there to use, especially Tony's little outbursts as he said action.
The problem here is you have very little time between scenes to be yourself. Sometimes they'll say cut, and the other actor's trying to sort the lines out, and that gives you as an extra in the background a brief moment to shake it off and just be yourself for a moment, right? But we all kind of made it a bit of a challenge to try and make each other laugh. That was a thing that started developing, right? It was a genuine thing that started to develop.
Yeah, so then we're kind of they're just preparing the scene again behind us, and out of nowhere Jack just says, have you seen this funny Google video? And everyone's like, no, what are you talking about? So he pulls up this video on YouTube, and it's basically is it a teacher, a female teacher in Africa or something like that?
Yeah, it's India or something like that. Yeah.
And she's trying to teach kids how to spell Google, and she's got it written up on a blackboard, and it's GOOGLE.
Gulu gulu gulu. And she thinks it says gulu gulu instead of Google. And of course,
so he plays this video, and literally, as he's getting ready, he's like, "Okay, quiet." And whilst he's saying "quiet on set," the video's still playing, and I'm thinking Jack's got to turn it off now, but he doesn't. He leaves it going.
No, it's Tony. I didn't. It wasn't my phone. It's someone else's.
I thought it was your phone.
No.
And I thought they've got to turn it off now, but they don't. They leave it playing, and literally the timing of it, the woman goes "gulu gulu gulu gulu," and then the director shouts "action," and we're all like hands over our mouths, trying not to laugh. They're trying to do the serious scene behind us. It's worse than when the worst moment you can want to be laughing.
It was very funny. I will always reflect on that moment fondly. Tony as well, the guy who was with us, he was funny.
If you haven't seen the video, just type into YouTube, Google funny spelling.
Yeah, and you'll get it,
and you'll find the video. Can't play it on here, obviously, for copyright reasons.
Exactly. What happened next? So we had our big corner time when we sat in the corner running those scenes, and then there was the fight, and then Stewart decided he would.
No. Let me have it right. Okay, so because you stole my limelight with the speaking line.
Oh, okay.
I felt the need that I had to step up and
abuse a woman. What? How does that work? Just beat on some woman. What?
Can we? No. So the director then comes over and says, "Right, I need someone to do an extra bit." So the cowboy and some other dude start having a shootout in the bar, and then from every angle, they're filming when the shootout starts. Everyone panics and runs out of the bar. So there's four of us running out from our table, and he says, one of you has to run out, step into kind of the line of the shootout with the cowboy, and then sort of panic and go, "Oh, fuck, I'm about to get shot." Mm-hmm. And the cowboy's going to walk over, push you out of the way, and then you carry on running. So that was my alternative for a speaking line, which was to just have a little fuck me, I'm gonna get shot moment.
Yeah.
So the first time he does it, the cowboy pushes me so hard that I actually, when did you ever do this when you're at school, when you do the 100-meter race at school, your sports day, and you're so eager to go so fast that you're falling forwards?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. I was falling forwards towards the door. I almost couldn't keep myself up. And then the second time I thought to myself, I know what I'll do. I'll add a bit of, I do my own stunts at my film shoots. And I thought, if he's going to push me that hard, I'll just turn that forward bit into a roll.
Ooh.
and then get up and carry on running out the door.
You're like a Caucasian Jackie Chan.
Oh yeah. I mean,
you're more like Jackie Chad.
Well, Stewart Lee. Did you know that my long lost second uncle is Bruce Lee.
Really? I just thought you were about to make a comment about your top then.
No.
It looks like you've repurposed Beetlejuice's trousers and made a t-shirt out of them. You're like a little bit of licorice.
I used to tell people that story at school, that I was related to Bruce Lee somehow, and some people believed me.
Really? Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, I was always full of shit at school, to be honest.
There's a lot of gullible people out there. Legend has it, I bet those people actually grew up to be flat earthers, actually. Who you told that to?
Maybe we'll ask Mark. He'll know.
Mark Sargent will let us know.
But anyway, so back to the matter at hand. So I've decided to throw like a sort of like stunt role into my big movie scene. That's, you know, so kind of, because you stole the speaking line, it's kind of your fault that this happened anyway. So as we're running out of the bar, there's another table of two people, Jamie, the legend.
J Dog, J Dizzle, big shout out. COVID.
There's Jamie and another lady. What was her name? Jera?
Rebecca. No. Yeah, something like that.
No. They get up and they run out as well. But because I'm throwing a roll into my dive towards the door, I didn't realise how slowly she was moving. And as I've rolled and tried to get up, I've literally just smashed straight into her, took her out. She come down on her knees so fucking hard. So I had to
we
get
shouldn't
up.
laugh about it. There was so much damage. Her leg was fucked.
I had to get up and then kind of pick her up so that we could like finish the actual scene and all run out of the bar. Otherwise, I think she would have just stayed on the floor.
We were all tired and silly. Okay, but I really hope that scene makes it in. It will certainly be the most realistic version. Well, it would. I mean, it was pure panic, wasn't it? When it happened, it was panic. It was real panic. I remember you running outside because I didn't get to see it, right? I was already outside at that point because I was leaving first. And then they all ended up making it outside. And I looked at Stu and Stuart looked so concerned. And I was like, Stu, you can stop acting now, bro. It's finished. He was like, no, mate. I think I fucked this girl's leg up. I was like, what do you mean? Have you fucked the leg up? He said, yeah, mate, she's fucked the leg. And the bruising started coming so fast. Yeah, man, that was an accident, definitely.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
Moment.
No, but
it was a great role, but
the good news is that was the end of the day, wasn't it?
That was pretty much the end of the first day, yeah. But
yeah.
She kept posting photos up on Facebook of her leg. I felt so bad.
Well, you should watch where you're bloody going the next time a cowboy tries shooting a biker, shouldn't you? Then you know what, man? If you got the part as the thug, if you went to the audition, because you say this is my fault, if you backed yourself and went to the audition and got the part, that would have never have happened, and her leg would be absolutely fine. So it's your fault, not mine.
But also, as well, if I'd got the part of the thug, then I don't think we'd have had as much fun.
Yeah,
because it would have been a lot more pressure on it. I'd have been a lot more serious trying to get the lines right. And
yeah, and I wouldn't have been allowed anywhere fucking near you. Oh my God, I'd have had to disappear. There's no way. If you, how funny and giggly we got. If you were ready to do your main scene and you're looking around, getting ready, running for your line, he says action, and you just catch a glimpse of me out the corner of your eye, and I'm just there. Gulu, 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 gulu.
I'd been game over.
It would have been a disaster.
Game over.
So it was the end of the day, and we were like, "Oh man, it sucked. It was over." But you know what? 14 hours day. It was real long. Got the drive home, but we were buzzing, and we were like, "We just want to be actors now." It was cool.
Yeah.
The scene was great, and also the people, man. We met some really awesome people, and they're all creative individuals.
Everyone up there had their positives.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, if you look at the industry, the performing arts industry, it's normally made up of people who don't care what people think of them, And so that means they're just themselves at all points. They're not changing who they are to please everybody. So it felt like such a really open and honest environment where everybody was expressing themselves freely, and it clearly showed it was such a high vibe, fun day. So it was a shame it was over, but then
and it wasn't like we were outsiders either, because I mean everyone was taking an interest in everything that we did outside of that as well. You know, they were asking questions about what we did in our spare time, jobs, everything. You know.
Yeah. And you know, we're home a few couple of days past. We're like, oh man, you know, it was just so good. We want to do it again. And then
come down.
And then we got the message.
They need.
Well, go on. You're gonna fucking say it or what? Cat got your tongue?
They there's a message come out on the group that they had a few extra bits they wanted to film with the extras, and could we go up for another evening? And,
we got to go back up to the promised land of Wiltshire, or eat meat, smartphones, wireframes, parsnips. It was cool. It was, and then we got to go back into the creepy ass night.
There wasn't as many people there the second night I was there, but there was a few of
the best part of the second day of filming was that we didn't have to put bin liners over mirrors again. That was our main worry. We're like, maybe if we turn up late, it'll already get done.
when I walked in and I looked around, because we talked about it on the way, didn't we? And I walked in and I saw that all the mirrors were exposed, and I was just like, oh fuck. And like my first question to Scott was, we got to fill those. We're not going to cover those mirrors again, if we.
So I turned out, I'm a bloody actor. I didn't expect manual labour.
Yeah, so no, because it was all close-up shots, wasn't it? So we didn't have to film covering any mirrors.
You had an amazing solo shot, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a scene where they wanted me to take a swig of a drink and then spit it out across the table.
Mm-hmm. Right where I was sat, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
And we filmed this scene, and we filmed this scene first too. So then I had to go sit in your bloody COVID. I was just really glad there's no like deadly virus spreading around the world. Because if there was, my ass has got COVID now.
But so the director comes over, hands me this drink, and he's like, "You take a swig of that, and then spit it out." And it looks like whiskey, so I'm like sniffing it, going, "What is that?"
If anyone doesn't know, Stu's a recovering alcoholic. 7 years sober, by the way. Big hand. Yeah.
So I'm panicking at this drink, wondering what's in it, and it's just water with a tiny bit of coke in it. So it did actually taste like shit. So it was, as soon as it went in my mouth, it wanted to be spat out anyway.
I hope they make that like a proper slow-mo scene. Like I want to see you like super slow-mo. Yeah, the memes I'm going to make of that.
So then he pulls out a bag of what looks like cocaine.
Yes. And then
he's like, right, who's going to cut this up? So Tony jumps straight away, gets his card out. Yeah, I'll do that. So Tony's there smashing all the cocaine up on the table. Mm-hmm. Putting it all into lines.
Oh, they were big lines as well, man. They were like fucking drop dead big.
they back in my old days, they'd just been an appetizer.
Oh, that was breakfast mate, for you, man. That was breakfast.
But for you guys, that would have been quite a big line.
How proud you are.
And then he's like, he gets all these straws out, comes over to the table, and he's like, right, now we need to get close-up shots of all of you like pretending to do lines of coke.
And Stuart just looks at him because his background of being also a bit of a drug addict in recovery, and what was your weapon of choice, by the way?
My go-to was cocaine at the time.
You like the spicy stuff, mate, and now you're on a fucking film set with someone asking you to snort a line of pretend coke off the table.
Bearing in mind, I gave up drugs over 12 years ago. So I've never, I've obviously been in situations where people are doing drugs, on drugs, but I've never been close to it in that sense, where I've watched people doing lines of it or been offered
Yeah,
it, like
or
that
pretending.
close up.
It's strange, man.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's strange. It's like,
So
I don't know. It's like someone who had, they were addicted to sex. They were a full-on sex addict, right? And then all of a sudden they go, right, so in this scene, it's a sex scene. You're banging this prostitute behind this nightclub. You're gonna be like, oh fuck. You'd be like, yeah, definitely, but it's not good. And I remember the director said, "Can you do it?" And your face, man, it's like a fucking deer in headlights. Right? It looked like he just pointed a gun at you like this. You were just like,
do it now.
Can I not? And it was like, why not? And we were like, well, you clearly haven't watched episode 1 of our podcast. This man's a crackhead. And so I had to do it instead. And it was just flour. And so, we were like, fine. So we shot a couple of the scenes of us, racking up the lines and snorting the coke. And then we needed a scene of the actual coke, the flour disappearing right up the straw. And so the best way to do that was over the shoulder and just sucking it up through the mouth. It was just flour. So it wouldn't matter. So lights, camera, action. And I breathe it up into my mouth. I block it going down with my tongue. And then at that point, the motherfucking director then chose to tell me he also mixed it with salt and sugar. It was disgusting. It was horrible.
It took you a long time to get that taste out of your mouth, didn't it?
Yeah, it was awful, mate. It was
I
terrible.
thought I had the assumption you were used to salty things in your mouth.
Oh, you are horrible. You're a horrible boy. And so, it was a real fun day of filming, and it was really nice to go back up and really get to know Scott, the director, more, because it was far less busy.
Yeah.
There were less people there because there was a smaller, intimate scenes. I had a solo scene as well. Remember, I had to go upstairs and I done a toilet scene. Yeah. I had to inspect the bag of cocaine, and I had my Pablo Escobar moment. I'm going to be a Narcos next.
Was it good or?
Oh, well, I didn't actually snort it. I would never dabble in such devious products.
But you inspected it, right? Was it?
Yeah, inspected. I basically had to look disappointed. Like, ugh. So I just pretended I was watching one of your podcasts. I was just like, oh, this is fucking crap. and then, I had to mess about with it. And we done it in one scene and it was cool. I know we went again, actually.
Oh, did it in one take?
No, we actually done a second take because I got a bit... like I wanted to do another take just in case it wasn't good enough. But no, mate, it was fun. It was a good experience. It was nice being under that pressure. Like it wasn't like pressure like being in front of like a crowd doing like comedy or something like I recently did. It was more like there is pressure, but you got time to fuck up. You have that safety net of you can just do it as many times as you want until you get it right. You look at people on stage doing West End shows. Nah, mate, there's none of that.
Right. Yeah,
there's no safety net. You have to nail it. Mate, if you said something wildly inappropriate on this podcast that couldn't go out, we can just edit it out, And saying when you're on, on a screenplay. Well, we don't, do we? We don't. We're not like that. We don't censor stuff. We're not Joe Rogan. And so we... sensitive topic. And... So it was nice to have that experience, and it was a wicked day. And again, we left absolutely buzzing.
And obviously, and like we've made some friends up there now, and Scott's obviously going to do more films, and the whole point for me was to get up there, have a feel of what it's like, get some confidence, have a go a small bit, and then we'll progress from there. And hopefully, next time we go up, it'll be we'll both have a main part.
Scott, the director, has agreed to come on and do a podcast.
Good.
So, yeah,
I think that'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I want to talk to him about... Oh, but he's going to watch this, Scott. Big shout out, my man. He's going to come on, and I'm really interested to speak to him about the process of getting into filmmaking without the backing, the financial backing, and the resources already there in place. Because, there's clearly now a struggle for people like him to get investment or to get the opportunities to be able to follow his dreams. There's this huge, barrier in the way of him trying to create his creative dreams and make it a reality. And he's probably got all the skills. He could have all the dialogue could be amazing. All of the storyboarding be incredible. He can have some of the most amazing actors lined up, ready to go. If you haven't got the money and the resources, none of it's going to happen. So I'll be really interested to find out what the process is there, because, you know, I think a lot of people really want to do this creative type of stuff, but don't really know what the process is to make it happen if you haven't already got those resources to hand. So I'd love to find that out.
And there's more to the man than just filmmaking, you know.
Yeah. He has a bin bag fetish. He likes watching big burly grown men get sweaty in a hot nightclub, you know, putting them on walls and stuff. Now, he was a pro mixed MMA fighter, wasn't he? And clearly very good. He was very successful with it by the looks of it. And
I wouldn't want to fuck with him, you know.
No, and you know, he's clearly a nice guy. He was really nice to work with. He was very compassionate and patient with everybody. But I'll be also very interested to see how his mindset from his professional mixed martial arts career really is translating into being this, you know, this badass, straight talking movie director who has to really keep track of a lot of really difficult technical things. You know, he has to hold.
I thought you were going to say difficult technical people then, talking about yourself.
I was easy to manage. I was.
You were a pain in the ass.
Oh, you are fucking lying. And yeah, so I'd like to get him on. He would be a far more interesting guest than you. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's not difficult, is it?
Oh.
Is you trying to be the king of comedy again?
No. Hey, I'm not the king of comedy. You're the king of comedy.
Well, no.
You're the one that says all the funny things on set that results in you getting speaking power. Oh, that was me.
Yeah, the king. Speaking of comedy.
Yeah.
Didn't someone make a little bit of a debut of comedy?
I
recently?
did. Yeah, because I was I was working on a stand-up routine. Just a quick thing.
So what?
I'll just explain the process. Me and Stu do these things called like equanimity challenges. We basically set ourselves small challenges to do that is basically practicing not giving a fuck about what people think of you. So it could be anything from, I don't know, chatting up a girl at a bar, for example, or asking for someone's
Obviously,
number.
Jack doesn't do that because he's married.
Yeah, I don't do that because I'm married, and I would be way too successful with it. It'll cause a lot of problems. And so on this occasion, mine was to write some sort of stand-up comedy and go to an open mic night and just do it. And if it bombs, we'd film it, we'd vlog it. If I get booed off stage, it doesn't matter. It would just be fun. It's the challenge of doing something that you find terrifying, which then builds your character. It builds the ability to be able to do more scary things. It just makes you a more confident person. And so I started writing some material, and you know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. And I play this game, a role play server off the Grand Theft Auto 5 game, and it's an amazing, the guys at roleplay.co.uk, it's a game where basically they've created this world, you know, where you can just hang out with cool people and just, you have your characters, you have jobs and stuff, and there's lots of things you can do. And me and my friend was driving around on there, and there was a message, and it says they have a talent show in this little virtual comedy club. And you know, I was chatting to my mate, and we were like, this could be a really good opportunity for me to test the stand-up material. And the issue with my stand-up material is it is dark, right? It's dark humor, which has its market. And let's face it, man, there's a big market. There's a lot of people out there that wants to laugh at difficult topics because it's a far easier way of dealing with traumatic events. And so, you know, I went and done it, and I got through to the final, and then I ended up winning it. And it was just like a small 5-minute set, was it? Would you say it was about 5 minutes, the first one to do?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, about 5 minutes. I watched it.
Yeah. And so I got chatting to the server owners and stuff, and we thought, why not? So we put a comedy special night on, and I done like a full 20-minute set. So I had to write a bunch more jokes and stuff. And look, people loved it. It went really well. It was the right audience, though. There was an element of like, you know, it was the perfect audience for the type of comedy.
There was a couple of ones that really didn't find it funny, and you could tell they didn't find it funny. And
there was
everyone else laughed over them.
Yeah, there was 110 people in attendance in total. There were 50 people.
Was there really that many?
There was 50 in the room. And there
Wow.
was like 110 watching the various streams, like a few other people like streamed it on Twitch and stuff like that. So, and yeah, it was, you know, some of the jokes, they went extremely well. It was, dude, it was traumatizing. I'm going to say it. I am a confident guy, right? I'm not very insecure because I don't really care what people think. I'm myself 110% of the time. And I'm very rarely put into in stressful situations when it comes to caring about what people think of me. Up until the point I walked out on that virtual stage, because it's in a computer game, and I was like, right, okay. I told the first few jokes. No one was laughing. At least I thought no one was laughing. And it was dead. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm bombing. I'm bombing. And I had a bunch of friends, like, because in terms of the game, they blew it right up, didn't they? They made it this huge thing.
Yeah.
And so I was really stressed during the beginning of the bit. And so I was like, I was about to come up to some jokes that I done in the audition of the talent show that just people cried with laughter. So I was like, in my head, I was like, it's guaranteed, people are gonna love it. So I said that joke, and like I couldn't hear hardly any laughs, and I'm just like, oh, this is bad. But then it turns out after I was chatting to everyone, and they were loving it. I was like, really? And they was like, yeah, everyone's laughing their tits off. And I was like, what do you mean? And it turns out I was stood too far away on stage from all the people watching. So the distance of their microphones weren't picking up. And I just thought nobody was laughing, man. So I was under so much stress at the time. And it was kind of relieving, but I felt robbed of really enjoying the process in the moment, you know. But I'm glad it went well. I'm glad it went well.
It must have been stressful for you if it felt like no one was laughing.
Yeah. But also I kind of feel like it was a good experience being put in that position. It was like someone was going, Jack, you can also feel like a little bitch sometimes, you know. And I did, dude. I wanted to cry. I wanted to just press the off button. Goodbye.
think of it this way, mate. That's good practice for when you do it in real life and you do bomb.
Oh, thanks, how it feels. Thanks very much. Thanks. If I did bomb, I was going to say, wow, that bombed, much like the explosions in Lebanon, because there was no way that was fireworks. So like I had backup plans to make people laugh. You didn't need them. And but yeah, it's amazing writing your own stuff, man. There's one thing,
and at the end you dealt with a heckler quite well. Some guy who bitched about how much he'd paid.
Yes.
Yeah, you handled that bit quite well.
Yeah, I did. Well, he only just walked in as well. He walked in late. The reason he was, and of course I couldn't really hear what he was saying, but he was bitching because he still had to pay, but he walked in right at the end or something like that. But no, we dealt with that person. Yeah. But the humor was very dark, which is why obviously people loved it. But out of about over 100 people, I think there were 2 people that were like, oh my God, this is outrageous. Because some people can't deal with.
The thing is, to be fair, like if this day and age, comedy is used to discuss controversial topics.
That's the issue.
And if you're offended by anything, like you shouldn't be going to comedy gigs, to be fair.
Not really, no. I don't feel you should be.
Comedy is a safe place for people to make fun of controversial topics.
There is Mrs. Brown's Boys for people like that. You know, if you can't take a damn joke, you should be watching a man dressed as an old woman making you laugh with slapstick comedy. That's the truth. There is a market out there for people who can't deal with dark humor, and that place isn't comedy clubs.
Are you going to give any of your routine for the listeners?
It's bad, man. So basically, I was discussing with my friend what type of comedy I should go, what route I should go down, and you know, a friend of mine said, well, really, you should write about the things that you enjoy in comedy, and I love dark, risky humor. I love the shock factor of it, and especially when it's done in a tasteful, like smart way, where there's real punchlines, like where you're not just being a dick basically for the sake of it. Because you see a lot of stand-up comedians, they go on stage and they're just a dick, you know, they're just horrible. And some people, they do get some laughs just through the shock factor, but there's not a lot of like funny, like punchlines, right? So I was like, you know what? I want it to be dark, but I want it to go through lots of different topics. I didn't want to drag things out with a long, boring story like your episode 1 podcast. And so I was like, you know, I want short, funny, snappy comments. And I was like, you know, what are dark topics to make jokes off? And I was like, well, I'd done a 9/11 bit. and I'd done an Auschwitz bit, and I'd done like an old people bit, and I just got writing, and
Come on, don't be selfish. Come on, give the listeners something to work with.
one joke.
Not one joke. Come on.
No, just can you shut the fuck? I'm gonna get a mute button so I can fucking mute you. This is why people get censored, Stuart. So I sat down. I was like, I want to write this. I want to do a thing on 9/11 because it's easy. It's for some reason people laugh at 9/11 jokes. It's a brutal thing that happened, but it's just how it is. And so I said, I said something like, I'd like to be I wrote it in real time. I didn't have to think about it much. So I wrote down, I would love to be a professional comedian. It beats sitting at a desk in my office all day. You see, 9/11's a lot like office work. It's an inside job, because it works, right? It's two meanings, but it means the same thing. And that's what I was doing. I was hunting for words that can mean more than one thing. So then you can tie the two topics together, right? And that's the process that I worked to. And then I was like, when I said it's an inside job, that eventually sucks the life out of you, which of course is just, it's savage. But again, it works because it means two things: what happened in real life, and then what office work does. It sucks the life out of you. It's a horrible, horrible thing to sit in an office all day.
Can I just say for my bosses, it's not a horrible job working in an office. I love it.
Yeah. I wanted to say it's an even worse office job if you've got a plane flying into the window as well, but I left that out. And so then I wanted to adapt on the whole 9/11 bit, because that was the the bit that I done in the audition and in for the talent show. And in the comedy special, I wanted to add a couple of bits. So my process to coming up with a joke was I sat down and one of the joke was the joke that I wrote and came up with was I know we shouldn't joke about 9/11, but I always thought September was a little too early for Christmas jumpers. Yeah. When I thought of that, I was writing it down. I was like, oh, fucking hell, Jack, come on, man. And the way in which I thought of it was because people are very interested in how comedians come up with jokes, right? And people think it's this big, impossible task. And it's not. Anyone can do it. I sat down and I thought, right, here's the topic, 9/11. And I thought to myself, so what are the individual components that made it up? And I was like, right, steel beams, is anything I'll do with that? And I started trying to play with the word steel beams, like, they're steel beams. It wasn't quite working. Jet fuel, anything I'll do with jet fuel? Not really. And then I remembered the jumpers were a big part of it. Horrible, horrible thing. So I thought jumpers. Oh, hello, jumpers is also it's an item of clothing. And I thought, jumpers. Oh, Christmas jumpers. Is there anything I can do with that? And then I was like, oh, 9/11 is in September. Bang, you got yourself a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And I thought, okay, and that was the process to it. And
to be fair, mate, that it's dark humor, but that's a clever joke.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the thing is, it's like, if I didn't write it, would I have laughed at that? Yes. And the whole room erupted. Everyone was dying of laughter. And, but however, you sure as bet everybody in that room knows 9/11 was an awful event. They are very sympathetic. We all are. It was terrible. You don't have to be an asshole to laugh at dark comedy. And the big issue at the moment that all comedians are really concerned of is the sort of the loony left's takeover on what comedians are allowed to joke about now. And there is this real problem at the moment where you can't please everybody, right? We know that as a fact. You can't please everybody, but mainstream narrative is forcing comedians to have to please everybody, which is impossible, which means they're being set up for failure. And so there should always be the risk of upsetting people with stand-up comedy, because in order to find what works and what doesn't, and for an industry to improve, things have to not work and things have to work. And then you make the comparison of the things you're writing about, and then the industry evolves. But that's being taken away from it at the moment.
But at the same time, do you think that, so like the comedians who don't give a fuck and just say what they want anyway, and not bothered about whether they offend people, it's making them kind of up their game and be funnier, I think.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, how do you mean? Give me an example.
Like Ricky Gervais as an example. He literally doesn't, you see his skit at the Golden Globes when he literally went in on all the Hollywood lot, and he just didn't give a fuck what
No, he didn't
any
care.
of them. And
Yeah.
I think that makes him stand out more now than he did before.
Yeah, I think he's not worried about being cancelled. He has money. He doesn't care. And there are a lot of comedians, I think, that I identify as their successful careers. I don't think Ricky Gervais identifies himself through his career. I think he identifies himself by the things he believes in and the things he wants to do creatively, which means I don't think he cares about his career as much as a lot of other people do. The people that kowtow, right, and hold their hands up, the comedians that have literally apologized publicly about jokes they fucking made, which does the industry no favors at all, because then the people who are complaining and trying to control the things comedians say start rubbing their hands together. Oh, who are we going to do this with next? Who are we going to cancel next?
Like Lee Francis, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Keith Lemon or whatever his name is. And it's like, come on, man. We shouldn't really be desensitizing ourselves to the point where we're not allowed to be able to joke about things. And I understand it's difficult for some, but the way I see it is, if we move into a world where you can't make light of difficult situations, the future looks dull as fuck.
Yeah,
it really does.
Well, the thing is, being offended is subjective, isn't it? Something that might offend you may not offend me.
Yeah.
So you can't start censoring things that people might find offensive, because everyone finds different things offensive.
Exactly. It comes back to what I said about you can't please everybody, but they're making them please everybody, which is impossible. So they're going to fail. The industry will fail. Comedy will fall flat on its face, but it won't. And it won't, because normally we sort that shit out. We come full circle. Comedy is just going to be like crap, and then there will be a gap in the market again. There'll be a gap in the market for new up-and-coming stand-up comedians who specialize in, dark humor. And then it will be laughed at again, and people will be like, well, actually, it's just comedy. They don't mean it.
It's funny, because whilst we've got into a society full of snowflakes at the moment, I haven't heard anything from Frankie Boyle for quite a long time.
Yeah, well, there we go. I mean, yeah, wow.
No coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think, he's also found his niche now. He's doing sensible stuff. He's doing like talk show, like podcasty type things, actually, where he's talking about opinions. But the problem here is this happened because people started to listen to comedians about the world more than politicians. Because not only was it entertaining to listen to comedians because they're funny, in order to be a good comedian, you need to be fucking smart. Comedians are smart, man. To write your own stuff, you have to be intelligent and smart, which means they normally have a pretty good grasp on the way things work in the world, both politically and in other forms. So then what ended up happening in the comedy industry is that stand-up comedians started going on these shows on television and getting super political with their humor. And that's a threat to the status quo. So then, of course, people start listening to comedians more. And then what happens then is their speech has to then be controlled, because they become influencers of people. They need to start taking responsibility for the things that they say if they're convincing people to either vote in a certain way or changing somebody's worldview. Do you see what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at Russell Brand. He's one of the most comedian, but one of the most intelligent people.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
I've heard speak. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, comedians needed to stay as comedians, and that it should have been that. Look at George Carlin. I mean, he's dead now. He's a very good comedian, but he used to speak out an awful lot against, the government and all this stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ, mate. I mean, you'd have stripped him naked and rode him as a surfboard, mate. I've used your spirit animal. He was a conspiracy guy. And so, yeah, comedians need to be comedians, and that should be as far as it goes.
Yeah, but the trouble is, Jack, when you've got what's going on in the world of politics at the moment, when it's so fucking far-fetched and it's just so all over the place, how can comedians not joke about that? And how can their sets not become political?
Yeah.
When everything the politicians do at the moment is fucking comical.
Yeah. You are right. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just feel like
MPs being told they have to apologise because they test positive for COVID and then travel miles on trains.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
how it's fucking that.
Did you ever do any of the stuff you're telling your kid to do? Nope. It was do as I say, not as I do, right? That's the general grasp of people in authority. That's that. And then they do it now.
No, not in my household, mate.
You're full of shit. Yeah, and but yeah, of course, I think with the whole comedian thing, it's a double-edged sword. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. And I mean, dude, even welcome back. Hello, welcome back. Yeah, a little glitch, was it?
No idea, man.
So anyway, as I was saying,
I think it was like because I was getting slightly political. I thought you cancelled me.
And so back to the comedy thing. I mean, even in my comedy special online, I done a politics thing. I was ripping into politicians and stuff, and so it does happen. So, but I guess by comedians getting political, that's what paved the way to controlling their free speech on stage. It was that was the beginning of the end. And whether or not they should have or shouldn't have done it, if that wasn't the way it went, then comedy, the industry of comedy would have remained untouched. But then at the same time, if they didn't, then not a lot of people would have, wouldn't have brought to light just how farcical the system is and the political system is. So who knows, man? But anyway, bottom line, I love writing comedy, and I would love to experience doing that on stage. Just the rush of it, the risk of people not laughing at your stuff is traumatizing. It's traumatizing.
There's a good comedy club down in Exmouth that me and a few from work went to. Obviously, it's not on at the moment because of the dreaded COVID. But that might be one that you can get your teeth into when things reopen and things go back to normal.
Who knows? Let's see what happens. I need to write some more stuff. The writing experience is real fun because you get to then test out lots of the stuff you write with like friends and things.
Yeah, man. Like, I'd love to help come up with some stuff and let you do it because I haven't got the confidence to go on stage and do it.
I'll stop it.
I'm clearly not funny enough.
Dude, you just danced in front of a bunch of people terribly. I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could tell some jokes on stage, mate.
See, when I'm dancing, I don't want people to laugh at me. And when you're on stage, you want them to.
Oh man, so we need to get ourselves back on a film set. So we need to go do some auditions and keep pushing that through.
Well, I'm not sure if we can now, mate, because they've changed all the rules again, haven't they?
Yeah, it'll have to be a film that only had 6 characters or less in.
Yeah, and can you do films with face masks on?
You really want to go there, don't you? You really want to talk about... All right, okay, 2 seconds. Dum, 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 dum. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stu Balls Face Mask Hour. We are going to give Stewart Lee a platform to talk about conspiracy theories for the next 5 minutes. Stewart, get out of your system. Go. Talk to me about face masks.
What do you mean conspiracy theory?
Now, go on, tell it. Let's go. What do you want to come off your chest?
So, I when all this stuff came out, wearing face masks, everyone was like, it's a bit late for face masks, and I kind of agree that if face masks were going to do great wonders and save everyone from this virus, we'd have been doing it a lot sooner than what they brought out. So initially I started wearing one of the places because I couldn't be able to argue with people. Mm-hmm. But I actually found them quite uncomfortable because I do get anxiety, and having that around my face was like kind of causing a bit of bother. So I stopped wearing them, and I started getting hassle in shops. The shop that I live above, there's a woman in there who's a bit of a
Karen.
She was literally screaming across the shop at me one day because I didn't have a face mask on. And
And that's just the thing. Like, by the way, like for everyone watching, like you've been told by a doctor you don't have to wear one. Like this is a legit thing that like this.
But she's like shouting across the shop, and I'm quite embarrassed by it really because there's people in there. So I was talking to someone at work about it. They said you can get a card that says you're face mask exempt. So I thought, all right, okay. I'm wondering how I would get one, and
Look at that! You just flash your ID. It's superintendent exemption here. Here's my ID.
And what I've discovered is that you can go onto a website, right, and you can buy one of those with. You just got to click and say, I want to buy that, and they post it to you. You don't have to show them anything to say that you're exempt from them. You don't have to have anything from a doctor. You just literally say, I want to be exempt. I'm going to go and buy one, and you buy it. So there's a friend of mine who actually has a disability and gets benefits for that disability, and it's a disability that you can't see necessarily, which is why people have these cards.
Yeah.
And she was in McDonald's and she filmed it, and they literally refused her entry. They wouldn't let her go in. She showed the manager a letter showing that she got disability benefit for a disability, and he was still arguing with her, saying, "No, you're not disabled. You have you know." He said, "Oh, you're funny" or something like that, and would not let her into McDonald's, even though she was showing that she had a reason for not wearing one of these. And I've been down there sitting with one of those, and no one bats an eyelid.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I just find it ridiculous how you can go and buy one of these from a website with no proof. And just say, I want one of these. They'll send you one, then no one hassles you.
The thing is, right, it is ridiculous, as you say, and we are doing lots of ridiculous things. However, the stuff the entire planet is going through at the moment, we are so untried and untested dealing with something like this, right? It's a surprise. It's surprising. This has took everybody by surprise. And when you're taken by surprise, Stuart, and you're supposed to make quick decisions, we fuck up, right? We do stupid shit. And so there is an element of compassion needed at the fact that, there's no one really doesn't know what to do. Okay. So that there is an element of that. I mean, the countries are performing under pressure to make rules just as much as we would be trying to perform under pressure, about to be in a car crash or some shit, needing to make a split-second decision to do something in a state of panic. The other side of it is, these people who are kicking off at people not wearing masks. Now, I always like to say, well, products are the information we receive. You'll believe in something else if you receive different information from different sources than somebody else. Okay, if you are someone that only watches the mainstream media, you are literally told every single day, wear masks, save lives. And the flip side of that is, if you see somebody not wearing a mask, they're not saving lives. The opposite of not saving a life is risking killing somebody. So now they're putting all that together and they're looking at someone going, oh my God, you could kill someone. And that's the issue, because that's the information they've only been receiving about it. You've been watching a lot of podcasts about doctors and virologists and serious like stuff, people of influence actually talking about the medical field, and they're just not seeing this information. So I'm also compassionate to some extent about those. It's just people to get different information, man. And that's just how it is. If someone's not wearing a mask, leave them the fuck alone. If you want somebody to wear a mask and they're not, don't mention it. Do you know what I mean?
It's just madness, though, isn't it? When you think, like, we tried to go for dinner the other day and we had to walk into a restaurant, and it was literally like, so you walk in, you get to the front door, you have to go and sit at a table because restaurants are now only allowed to give table service. But to walk from the door to the table, you have to wear a mask. And then as soon as you're sat at the table, because you're sat at the table, you can take the mask off. There's just no logical sense in that.
Yeah,
and people are enforcing it and being strict and saying, no, you have to wear it. And like you said, wasn't it? What if I do this?
Well, yeah. My thing was like, I mean, we just. The thing is, we didn't plan. We were doing work stuff, and so we weren't planning on going in for food anywhere. No. And you were going to be picking off a friend a t-shirt or something, and they were in this pub. So I'm like, okay, we might as well pop in for a drink or some food. Didn't have our masks on. We had no intention of going anywhere publicly, but we're like, oh, sure, restaurants are going to be okay. You can't eat with a bloody mask on. So we go in there, and we're told like you have to wear a mask. And we're like, how do we eat? And they were like, oh no, you only have to cover your face on the way to the table, and then you're fine. So I was like, fine, I'll just pull this over. I got a few layers on. And it was like, no, it has to be a mask. And I was just like, what? Why? This is just, if not better, there's like multiple layers. She goes, no, you have to wear a mask. And the problem for me there is, it's like, that means it's not about health anymore. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if it was about health, it's just, you just need to cover your fucking face.
If it was about just covering your face, then you'd be allowed to just cover your face.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it doesn't mean there's an alternative agenda. It's just, that's what happens when people are forced to police their own people with ideas that weren't originally theirs. People follow blindly, man. It's, dude, like SS soldiers used to fucking fill trains full of people knowing where they were going. You can get people to enforce crazy shit, man, honestly. Everything's a power trip. All authority is a power trip, and humans have a habit of not doing too well with authority over people. I mean, look at the police stuff going on in America, man. It's a real problem.
How would you combat it, man? It's a scary time when you see. I don't
think we need to combat it. I just think there needs to be more compassion there. If the people on this side understood why people on this side have their views, and people on this side had their views, they'd all go, "Oh, you're all listening to different people believing in different things." When actually, we all have a common interest. We all want to be happy motherfuckers. So let's be kind to each other.
It's like I don't want to be wearing masks. I've got a health condition that's means it's uncomfortable for me to wear them.
You just want to show your beard off.
So I'm not. Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
A beard.
But it doesn't. I'm not going to walk around and start pointing at everyone that is wearing one and say, "What are you doing? You're an idiot." If they want to wear it, if they feel that it makes them feel safe, then let them do it. But when people start screaming at me across a shop for not having one on, and like publicly embarrassing me, and that's when I think it's, just wind your neck in, concentrate on what you're doing.
The way I see it, though, is like, I'm not disrespecting any shop worker or anything like that. Anyone who works long hours doing anything is admirable. It's good to work hard. But the problem is, dude, they're in these positions where they've never had any authority. They've never had any power over anyone. They've never had that. And now all of a sudden this thing happens. Boom, this big mask mandate. And these Karens are stood in their aisles, putting their cans of beans on the shelves. Oh, now then, who's next? Bang, no mask. They've got their target. Following them round, target acquired. Bang. And they've gone at you, mate. They've got the sniper out. Bang. The sniper of opinion has been fired your way.
You've had a couple of arguments with Karen downstairs, haven't you?
Yeah, well, let's leave Karen out of this. It's not fair. That's not a real name, by the way. That would be ironic if it was. But, I just feel like, everyone's responding in ways of which they feel is right. No one thinks they're wrong here, dude. Out of all these arguments, no one thinks they're wrong. Everyone thinks they're doing the right damn thing. They're not trying to tell you a mask because they want to fuck you up. They genuinely think you're going to be hurting people because that's just what they've been told. And you think it's not going to be doing anything because that's what you've been told. And is
it another thing just to divide?
Well, I don't know. Who knows nowadays? There's a lot of fucking crazy thing that goes on in mainstream information sources. But one thing I do know is if everybody was a bit more compassionate about why people have these different opinions, I think we'll all be fucking fine, man. I think we'll all be fine. Just leave comedy out of it. Just let comedy be. Just let comedy be comedy.
Oh, coming from you, who one of your jokes was about masks.
Yeah, exactly. I should be able to say that, because comedy should be comedy. And Stuart, was it a great joke?
Oh yeah, it was a good one.
What was the crowd's reaction to it?
They
died with laughter, man. Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, Stu Balls the Brave. I think we're up. This episode 14, is it 15? Who knows? But thanks for coming back on, man. It's always good to have you on. Yeah. Well, the things are happening. We got some cool guests lined up. I'm going on an epic adventure across Europe tomorrow. So the next time I do a podcast will be in a different location. I'm not just trying to copy Joe Rogan by changing my my set or anything like that, but it'll probably be nicer than his shit show of a fucking new place. And
I've not seen his new place.
Well, maybe you should start watching some of his podcasts, bro. He's still pushing
Well,
out great content. He's doing some good stuff.
Since he was a sellout, I've not.
No, stop. Look at that. That's all the mainstream media stuff. Anyway, Stu, thanks very much, man. And let's keep doing amazing, crazy shit together.
Well, if you're fucking off to another country, it's going to be hard. But yeah, when you come back, we'll get on with some crazy stuff.
Awesome. All right, man. I'll catch you later.
Take it easy.
Cheers.